probably one of the happiest and most confident people you'll ever meet. In social situations, I'm rather like a butterfly. When I'm on stage, I experience close to zero fear. This wasn't always the case. In fact, the exact opposite used to be true. From early childhood all the way into my early 20s, I suffered from self-sabotaging negative thinking. While such thoughts can exist on a wide spectrum, mine resulted in massive social anxiety, a low self-esteem, and the occasional thoughts of suicide. As with most people who hold such poor opinions of themselves, I believe my opinions were based in reality. Little did I know, they weren't. And as such, I was actually living in a very dangerous false reality. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could rid yourself of every negative, self-sabotaging thought you hold about yourself? Well, I believe you can, if those thoughts are flawed, which many people's are. Thoughts which are unhealthy and surreptitiously robbing people of a much higher level of happiness which they deserve. If you knew me growing up, you would have had a hard time convincing me that my self-sabotaging thoughts were false. But don't worry. If you had known me back then, I would have never shared any of my dark thoughts with you. As like with most people harboring such thoughts, I kept them to myself. So quiet about them that if I had committed suicide, you would have been stunned and asking, why? Fortunately, things started improving in my early 20s. That's when I met Charlie, a handsome tall cat wearing a black and white tuxedo. The first time we met and I befriended him, my friend Rick laughed at me, saying, "I don't know why you like that cat. It doesn't have any personality whatsoever." Indeed, Charlie was extremely withdrawn. However, Rick's poor opinion of him only made me love him more, and when Rick and his wife decided to kick Charlie to the curb, I seized the opportunity to take him home with me. Believing Charlie's withdrawal from society was due to mistreatment and abuse, I determined that the best way to help him was to smother him with love. Additionally, I decided to never scold him or play rough with him. After a few months of doting on him, he finally started coming out of his shell. No longer sitting around like a lump on a log, he became more sociable, interactive, and affectionate, not only towards me, but towards everyone. Prior to his arrival, I had gone through some major life changes. Becoming attracted to a close male friend of mine, I decided to stop fooling myself and come clean with my girlfriend and tell her I was gay. She actually didn't mind, but the whole reason for telling her I was gay was because I wanted to stop living a lie. So shortly after spilling the beans, I moved into my own apartment and began living as my authentic self. No longer living a double life was a huge improvement, but in my baggage was still those negative self-sabotaging thoughts. Seeing how doting on Charlie had helped him out, I wondered if doting on myself might help me out too and get rid of some of my own negative thinking. Figuring I had nothing to lose, I decided to give it a shot. Standing in front of my bathroom mirror, I said the unthinkable, "I love you." Laughter ensued, and when I finished laughing, I tried again, and again, and again. Eventually, I got past the giggles, and after a couple of weeks of love bombing myself, I got to the point where I meant what I was saying. For the first time in my life, I truly loved myself. Succeeding with that was huge, and immediately led me to wondering what other negative thinking I might be able to get rid of by using the same method. I decided to tackle my poor self-image next. Standing in front of the mirror, I said, "You're cute." I laughed, for sure, but continued, pointing out each facial feature and saying just how nice it was. By not allowing negative thoughts to seep into my mind during these sessions, finally, after many days, I was able to see just how good looking I was. Even today, I still think I'm a pretty good-looking guy. Maybe you agree, or maybe you don't. It doesn't really matter. As the only opinions of me that really matter are my own. Just like the only opinions of you that should really matter to you are yours. Becoming stronger, I no longer needed the bathroom mirror to achieve my mission. Wherever and whenever negative thoughts popped into my mind, I immediately replaced them with their polar opposites. If I thought, wow, I look horrible today, I immediately changed that to, wow, I look awesome today. I expanded this method, using it for everything, even to cure me of social anxiety. If I thought, I'm not going out tonight because no one's going to talk to me, I changed that to, I'm going out tonight. If no one talks to me, well, it's probably because they're too shy to speak to someone so masculine and good looking. So I guess I'll just have to find the handsomest guy there and talk to him, because he'll surely not be too shy to talk to me. By changing my thinking like that, I ended up hooking up with the handsomest guys, and I don't need to tell you how much that improved my self-esteem. Many years later, one of my best friends, Linda, a psychologist in San Diego, told me this. I find it quite amazing how you're able to self-analyze and help yourself through a lot of things. Most people can't do that, you know. She was right. And what she was talking about actually stemmed from this method that I'm sharing with you, of replacing my negative thoughts with positive ones. I also use this method to overcome irrational fears. Whenever I had a fear holding me back from doing something I wanted to do, I replaced it with a positive affirmation. And if the fear remained, which oftentimes they do, I simply ignored it. By doing that over and over again throughout the years, I have become pretty well known amongst my friends as being quite fearless. Legitimate fears, on the other hand, they should never be ignored. Let's say that you want to move to a foreign country, but you fear that you don't have enough money to survive there. Well, that's a legitimate fear, so you need to address that fear and remove it by saving up enough money and possibly get a remote job before you make your big move overseas. However, if your fear is that you'll fail overseas no matter how hard you try to succeed, well, that's an irrational fear and should be replaced with a positive affirmation, such as, if I try hard enough and do my best, I know I'm going to succeed. Before beginning this self-improvement method, I didn't have a clue that my negative thinking was truncating my level of happiness. By succeeding with this method, I instantly became a more loving person, not only to myself, but also to others. With my improved thinking, my social life blossomed, and I welcomed great new friends into my life. Later, in my mid-30s, my roommate and close friend Trudy shared this personal observation with me. She said, "You're a very unusual person, Gio. You want to know why?" Of course I wanted to know. So she continued, "Because you're always happy, from the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you go to sleep at night." I laughed and assured her I'm also happy while I'm sleeping. I eventually fully healed my troubled and broken spirit, and ridding myself of negative thinking, positive, loving, and happy thoughts were able to take root and flourish. This method, which I began nearly 40 years ago, has allowed me to achieve great success and live a life of optimum love, joy, and adventure. After achieving all of this, I had to learn how to protect it, as at times others were coming into my life and turning it upside down. Through trial and error, I eventually learned how to protect my happiness and sustain it without such interruptions. The secret was to understand and create healthy personal boundaries. If you would like to know more about that, please watch my video, Disrespect and Abuse, No Way, Get Away, and Stay Away.